It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha. Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening, everyone. Brouhaha time once again. Coming out of the heart of Waynesboro, Mississippi, WABO 105.5 on your FM dial, as you all know. And I'm sitting here with the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, sports writer extraordinaire, Dale McKee.
Ah, man.
How you like that?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, okay.
Have you
Goodbye, everybody. It was good to have you with us.
Have you ever used that on Kenny?
I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that I may incriminate myself.
Well, you ought to say that to Kenny.
How do you know it happened?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I refuse to answer. I don't know which way we're going with this, so I'm just staying neutral.
You stay in neutral.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I think you need to say it every ball game.
Oh yeah, every
ball game y'all do together. How many ball games y'all done together?
That's a good question. Bunch of them.
Bunch of them.
I guess. Let's see. Kenny started with me. Oh man, I can't even remember the year. I was doing the video stuff. He's been with 15 or more. I guess.
So at least.
Yeah, at least 15.
Y'all
15.
get close to 200, aren't you?
Yeah, that's a lot of games.
You got that right.
Yeah.
A lot of games.
I've been calling them one form or a fashion myself since 2004, but I haven't missed one this century. Just as a fan. That's Wayne County High School, by the way, for the folks that don't know. Yeah.
That's a marvelous streak. I'd put you up there with Cal Ripken.
Yeah, me and old Cal.
Go to work every day, even when you don't feel well.
Yeah, we got to show up, man.
You got to show up.
I tell you what, I remember the first time that I did the radio broadcast for Wayne County High School. This was 2010. First time, bought the new equipment, bought all the stuff, had everything ready to go. Got up there and we had some kind of deal with our Bluetooth, with our wire. We had a hardwire connection for our head to the radio station. First time we ever did it. Couldn't make it happen. Didn't get the broadcast out. We had the video, but we didn't have sound, so the radio didn't get it. It was a mess. That was like that Rolling Stones. You know who the Rolling Stones are?
I heard of it.
They had a song, "This is just my 19th nervous breakdown." You remember that one? I had about 19 nervous breakdowns the first night we ever tried to broadcast live on WABO. And but we got through and we still there then, fired as yet.
Well, I think everybody's like that to a certain extent, especially when they're, me working under deadlines, I always had to work under deadlines about every job I've ever had.
Deadline Dale McKee, baby.
Yeah, and so it does stress you out because you're, like you've really got a deadline, 7 o'clock or, or 6:30, what time it is. Yeah. You need to be on the air, Yeah. And, a deadline to a lot of normal people is, hey, get to work on time, Yeah. And, bosses don't want you punching in at 8 o'clock if you're supposed to be there at 8 o'clock. They want you punching in a little bit early so you can go to work at 8 o'clock. Isn't that the old-fashioned way?
Well, a lot of people punch in to work and then go eat. I've seen that happen a lot of times through my years.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not going to disclose any information, but I've seen that happen.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got
Hey,
you.
I got to work. I'm still hungry. I think I'll go get something to eat. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything like that.
No.
No.
Oh. Who you got for us tonight?
Well, we got one of my favorite sports writers of about my era, Stan the Man Calwell.
Stan the Man, has he been with us before?
He has.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, probably about a year.
What all does Stan the Man do? Tell us about Stan.
Well, Stan used to work for the Hattiesburg American for a long time when it was a daily paper. And, daily papers went out of extinction and they, gave everybody, what you call those buyouts, I guess.
Yeah.
A buyout. I've never had a buyout, but anyway.
Yeah, well, you may have one coming.
I'd be like that guy for the Colorado Rockies baseball manager. The Rockies were 6-32, off to the worst start in Major League probably history since 1900. And somebody said, he was probably happy when they gave him the pink slip. I'm out of here.
See y'all later.
Yeah, but Stan, man, he covers a lot of high school sports and things of that nature. And we're going to ask him about high school softball, high school baseball playoffs coming up. We're going to ask him about the New Orleans Saints and the retirement of quarterback Derek Carr. And we're going to touch a little bit on USM baseball.
Man, we better get to work.
Get with it.
Let's take a break, folks, to hear from our sponsor, and Dale and I'll be back with tonight's guest, Stan, as Dale said, the man Calwell. See you in just a minute, folks.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, Stan, the man Calwell, all the way from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Stan, how are you today?
I'm very good. They're watching the skies, hoping that we can get to play some baseball tonight.
Oh, yeah. Baseball, softball, a lot going on. Tell us.
A lot going on.
Yeah. Tell us about maybe some of the area teams and teams from around the state that they're coming to Hattiesburg this week for the softball championships, Mississippi High School.
Softball championships getting underway at the USM Softball Complex tomorrow afternoon at noon. There'll be 3 games tomorrow. Class 3A starts it off Boonville against the winner between Enterprise and West Marion. That series is scheduled to go to a game 3 Monday. Game 2:15 game is Class 6A. The show is Central versus George County. And then the 4:30 game is Class 5A, Game 1, Lafayette or New Hope. That's another Game 3 in the north against Van Cleve or East Central in the South State. Again, another Game 3 being played Monday night. And then, of course, they'll go Game 2 for those series on Wednesday at 11, 1:15, and 3:30. And then the Class 7A series starts Wednesday at 5:45. That's Hernando versus Northwest Rankin. Thursday, the schedule goes to the 1A. Myrtle against Stringer, that's a 11 a.m. start. 1:15, it's Class 4A Purvis against Itawamba AHS. And the 3:30 game is Class 2A, that's East Union versus Pisgah. And then the 5:45 game Thursday is the 7A Class 2A Game 2 between Northwest Rankin and Hernando. And, of course, Friday's Game 2. And then the Game 3s, if they need them, it will be 5:45 on Friday. Kind of an interesting conundrum. They've got the remote possibility that they all 7 series go to Game 3. They've only got time slots for 6 games, so they have to kind of scramble and figure out what they're going to do if they do go to 7 Game 3s. I don't know if that's ever happened, but
wow,
Dale, you never know. You never know with high school kids. You always learn something new every year.
Yes, sir. You just talking about the names. I know George County's been a power the last few years. I think they won it last year in 6A. And the Neshoba Central, Wayne County is very familiar with Neshoba Central.
Neshoba's always good. Boonville always brings a great team down. West Marion's having a great year, but they got to get past Enterprise on Monday. Like I say, just look forward to a really great series at USM. A lot of great softball. These girls put in a lot of work. I've watched Purvis a couple of times this year. They're really good in Class 4A. I like their coach. I mentioned their coach Lindsay Robertson, the girl I covered back when she was in high school at Purvis. She makes likes to make a big deal out of that. That's kind of the second generation covering her kids as well as he did her.
Yeah, Stringer's got something too. They got a little Graham girl. I can't remember her first name, but she was the 1A player of the year this year in Mississippi High School softball. Anyway, her dad was Heath Graham that played. That played up at USM, but he still holds the all-time high school home run record. He had 50 during his career. Of course,
I remember.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
I remember that.
Yeah. So she. So that's just so that that's always interesting. you followed your dad. You followed. I wrote about her dad and kind of written
Second
about
generation.
her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of Purvis, one of their players is here's their daughter's daddy's Billy Reynolds, who played some in the big. So yeah, in the pros. So yeah, it's funny how the generations they follow the athletic careers of their fathers and mothers.
Yeah, it's always fun. Well, now we've got some interesting matchups, especially in the South State let's start with Mississippi High School to start with. It's going to be a great matchup in that 5A between East Central and South Jones and
South Jones.
Yeah, and East Central.
I saw South Jones play last week against Van Cleve, and they're very good. They hit the ball extremely well. They've got a really good left-hander. Mike Akuda that's having a real good year, and then of course they've got a couple other kids that can play that can pitch. It's a real good, fundamentally sound baseball team, South Jones. And then of course East Central, they're always really good. Traditional powerhouse down in Jackson County.
And what about Oak Grove now? They're in 7A and they're in 7A.
Oak Grove is 7A. They start Tuesday night. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday against Brandon. Brandon beat Oak Grove in one of the regular season meetings this year. So that's going to be a tough series there. I think Brandon will give the Warriors all they want. And of course, we got defending champions George County playing in 6A against Pearl River Central. And of course the matchup everybody kind of in this area is looking forward to is Purvis and Sumrall in Class 4A. Those are two of the top 5 teams in the state, and of course just bitter old rivalries. Last 3 years they traded winning the state at 4A. Sumrall's defending champion this year. Purvis won it in 23, and then Sumrall won it in 22. So yeah, they're two of the powerhouses, and a lot of people are really, really looking forward to it. There'll be big crowds at Sumrall and Purvis tonight at Purvis, and then tomorrow at Sumrall. And of course, a couple of series have gotten underway up in the north half. 3A Morville and East Webster played Friday. Morville won that one 14-0. East Union and Hamilton started in 2A Friday. East Union has a 1-0 lead in that series. Myrtle and West Union in 1A, they started also Friday, and Myrtle won that one 8-4 in 11 innings. But a lot of great baseball in South Taylorsville. I'm looking forward to that. Playing Sacred Heart, that series starts tonight. I'm doing that game tonight for Pine Belt News, and I'm really looking forward to it. Taylorsville is the defending state champs in 1A, but Sacred Heart having a really fine season there, 24-6. Coached by one of my old friends, Larry Watkins, who coached Petal to 6 state championships during the earlier part of his career. He's enjoying kind of a post-retirement renaissance, I guess you'd call it, there at Sacred Heart. There, he's built a really good, solid program there at Sacred Heart in Class 1A. That'll be a really good series. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I was joking with him one day in front of his assistant coaches. They were. I was at a ball game, and I said, "Yeah, I've been around a long time, but Larry's been around longer than I have because he coached.
And longer than I have too.
He coached.
He was already 5 years in at Federal when I started, and at Hasbrook America in 1984. So yeah, he's been around a while.
Yeah, and I remember when
great guy, and an outstanding coach, one of the legends.
Yeah, and I remember when he coached basketball at Petal too. But
I do too. Yeah, I do too. In fact, it's a funny story. I actually drove to Yazoo City to cover Petal in a state playoff game. Believe it or not. Why I did that, why we sent there, I don't know. But this was back in the mid to late '80s. But I drove all the way to Yazoo City in a downpour. It was amazing. I'll never forget it. It was interesting. Let's put it that way.
Is that when you had to go to Vicksburg and up to go there?
Yes, I believe. No, actually, I took 49. I drove on 49.
Yeah.
49 through Jackson around that way.
49 makes it.
Yeah,
easy.
it was. And that was before it was 4 lanes. So yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a mess. And the high school at that time they were playing Yazoo County actually, and the high school at the time was on the far other side of Yazoo City. Now it's back towards on 49. They built a new high school over there. It's right there on 49 south of Yazoo City, about 10 miles.
All right. Now is PCS in the playoffs this year?
They are. They're playing MRA this week in the. Yeah, they're still alive. They'll be playing Wednesday night. So we're looking forward to that here also in Pineville. PCS having a really good team. They've got a great pitcher, Braxton Walters, whose grandfather actually was apparently quite the player. So back in his day. So yeah, that's another team that's of course PCS is going to be going to NHSA this next school year, so they'll be in 3A next year, playing with the public schools there. It'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Well, I'm sure they're going to be able to compete in some of the sports.
I think so. I saw them last year, and then I actually think they'd have won state in 3A last year if they did it in NHSA. They had a great team last year.
Yeah, and I think the only team that beat them was probably one of the best teams ever played. Mississippi was that Jackson Prep.
Yeah, they took Prep to a third game in the finals last year too, which I don't think anybody expected that. So just to get that much, and then I think the third game was it was a 1-run game. I think till the late innings. Jackson Prep I think put a few runs on the board late and kind of pulled away there. But yeah, great season for PCS, and they're still going great guns this week also.
Yeah, let me ask you a question about how that works. That's been a private school, correctly? For PCS?
Yeah.
They're going public. Mm-hmm. Now, they're not limited to where their student body can come from, are they? They can come from anywhere?
As far as I know, there might be I'm not really sure how that works. I think there is like a mileage limit where you can only draw from like certain 50-mile radius maybe, but don't quote me on that because I'm really not sure how that process works. They do not have this thing because they don't have a feeder program like some of a lot of the public schools do. So I don't know. I'd have to kind of dig into some research into that.
Okay.
I was told now at one time Mississippi High School had a rule that it was a 20-mile radius. So I don't know if that's.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know if that's going to be. But I don't know if
it's going to.
Yeah.
And of course, now when you're on state lines, the reason why Cathedral and St. Aloysius moved to MAIS is because they were recruiting from Louisiana.
Yeah,
a lot of their kids were coming across the river from out of state, and that was some of the other smaller schools in 1A kind of complained about it, and they would say, well, we this is big part of our clientele. This is our student where we draw students from. So they kind of protected themselves, and they went the other direction. They went MHSA to MAIS. So it's kind of interesting how it works out.
Talk to us about the Golden Eagles, man. They've been hot lately, haven't they?
Well, Frank, they've won now. The Golden Eagles are they're really on a roll now. They're hitting the lights out of the baseball. I mean, they're hitting 303 as a team. That's best in Conference USA and one of the best in the country. They're just having a great season. Jake Cook is he's hitting 354. Carson Pato, 15 home runs. Matthew Russo, 17 home runs. Wow. Nick Monaster is just, he's been clutch all year. He's 17 home runs, 61 RBIs. The pitching is good, not great. J.D. Middleton's having a great year. He's 9-1, 2.0 ERA, a team ERA 4.12. But the bread and butter is big innings and the big bats, and they're going great. I don't think they're going to be able to get to where they can host a regional. Everything I've seen has them going to Auburn as the 2 seed. And what's interesting about that is if they win most of the projections have Auburn hooking up with Coastal Carolina, which of course Coastal's in the Sun Belt as well as the USM, but they didn't play this year in regular season, so that would be interesting to see how that works out if they play in the conference tournament next week and then get hooked up in a super regional. That would really be a feather in the Sun Belt's cap, I'll tell you. If they can both get to get the super, which would guarantee a Sun Belt team in the College World Series. So that's something to think about. But yeah, they're having a great year. They won 12 straight. They go to Troy to finish the season Thursday night, 3-game series. And then of course they've got the conference tournament beginning Tuesday. They would play, I think, Wednesday as probably the 2 seed. They've got an outside chance at getting the top seed. Probably going to be number 2 behind Coastal. With they're 2 games behind in the standings as of right now. But Coastal got a tough assignment. They got to go to ODUs, but then of course Troy is kind of locked in as a 3 seed in the tournament, so that's going to be a tough series down there. Troy always draws a big crowd there. Their applying program got a great facility down there in Troy, Alabama. Now, a lot of excitement about Golden Eagle baseball. It's great to see. This is one of the traditions. It's become a traditional power, and it's become the bulwark of the athletic program right now. It's kind of it's been the big dog, so to speak, in the athletic department at USM. There, hopefully that can maybe change a little bit toward when if Charles Huff can get the football program back on track. But yeah, that's and we'll see what Misty Bilderback does with the Lady Eagles in basketball. And of course, Jay Ladner's still he'll be back next year for the win with the win. So but yeah, baseball is just it's Baseburg. That's what they call it.
Yeah, they've had a great year. One question about it: where's the Sun Belt baseball tournament?
Which one? The Sun Belt Conference tournament in Montgomery next week.
Okay, so
they will. They'll be the 2 seed. I think. I'm pretty sure they'll be the 2 seed.
I got you. All right, listen. Let's get to the Saints for a minute. Did Derek Carr do the Saints a favor, or did was?
It's kind of a mixed bag, Dale. It would have been nice if he made an announcement before the draft, but at the time, I think he was still holding out hope that he could maybe come back in 2026 there. But on the flip side there, that helps the Saints salary cap situation immensely. Of course, the Saints are chronically underwater with the salary cap. They have been since even before Drew Brees retired. So that'll be a big help for them. Where they go with the quarterback position, who's to say? I'm hearing a lot of talk about Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. He's still got some miles, I think, left on him, but he brings a lot of baggage. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I think, but in the long run, it's going to pay off for the Saints because he wasn't sure he was going to be able to even come back, even if he taken the year off this year and tried to come back next year, and he just said, it's not worth it. Let's cut our losses, help the team out with the salary cap, and move on with the next phase of my life.
Where'd you go, Dale?
Yeah.
Wake up, Dale!
Well, I think we've covered all that we said we were going to cover. So, have you got?
Just kind of a little sidelight. We mentioned, Chris mentioning the College World Series. Of course, Mississippi State and Ole Miss are very much in the picture as well. I thought Mississippi State kind of jumped the gun a little bit with Chris Lamonis, but they're still hanging in there right now. They're looking at a 3 seed at Florida State according to projections. Ole Miss they're looking at a 2 seed somewhere, either Clemson or North Carolina. They're having a great year. All big three teams are having great years in baseball. It's this is an exciting time. This is one of the best times in sports in Mississippi, just to have all the softball championships, baseball championships coming up next week at Trustmark Park, and still a lot of interest in football building up towards the August kickoffs, and just May is a really great month for sports in Mississippi.
Well, listen, guys, I hate to be the bringer of bad news, but we're out of time. It flies when you're having fun. And Stan, we can't thank you enough for taking time out of your schedule to be with us today. We're going to ask you to hang on just a minute. Dale and I are going to take a break to hear from one of our sponsors and be back with tonight's final segment of the Brouhaha right after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everybody. And I'm going to tell you, Dale, Stan can go.
That's why they call him Stan the Man.
But now I know. Very impressive.
Do you remember the original Stan the Man? Stan the Man musical, St. Louis Cardinals.
Now that you mention it, I've forgotten that though.
Okay. Well,
There's
anyway,
a wealth of information up here that's just floating around in a giant black hole.
Well, Stan the Man had the most unique statistic that I've ever seen. He had, I want to say, as many hits on both sides, right-handed and left-handed, than anybody. I mean, they were completely equal. I don't know how many hits he ended up with. It probably was in the 2,000 range. I think he got to 3,000, and but I think he had the same number of hits batting left-handed and right-handed.
That's pretty impressive.
I thought it was too.
I think I might have qualified for the same amount of strikeouts on both sides of the plate.
Yeah.
If I was.
Well, a lot of those switch hitters were like that. Chipper Jones of the Braves, he hit like his average was like 305 left-handed and 303 right-handed.
Man, it'd be hard to pick his pitcher, wouldn't it?
And he never did switch hit in high school. They made him a switch hitter in the minor leagues. And I had a friend that was a scout with the Braves, and we've interviewed him a couple times on our show, Rod Gilbert from the Braves. He was sent down to one of the spring training camps, and he told Chipper, "We made you the number 1 draft choice for a reason. You're not going to give up hitting left-handed. You're going to hit left-handed. Do you understand?"
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
And so, sometimes you just have to be, reinforce them a little bit there.
Yeah.
But Chipper wanted to give up because it was frustrating for him. And you know how those elite players are sometimes when something all of a sudden stops them. Some of them can't handle it. But Chipper's one of those, okay.
Fought his way right through it.
Fought his way right through it.
Makes him great, baby. Makes him great.
Yeah.
We didn't have a chance to hit your sideline too much before we got started. Anything in there you want?
Well, the only thing I was going to tell the fans about is that I thought it was great. All three, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Jackson State softball were invited to the NCAA tournament, which was great. And in the smaller divisions, the Division II, Mississippi College and Delta State both made the Division II playoffs. And Belhaven and Millsaps will find out today as far as if they're going to make it. And both of them had pretty good years. Millsaps won their regular season championship, and Belhaven finished second in their conference. So we've got some great baseball in Mississippi. And the junior colleges are going to start Wednesday. Pearl River and East Central. Big boys are going to meet in Poplarville for a best of 3.
Poplarville and a Wayne Academy graduate will be probably pitching.
Mr. Carlisle.
Mr. Carlisle will be
Mr.
probably.
Carlisle.
I'd put my money. He's going to be on the mound somewhere.
There you go.
That old sidearm rascal, sidearm slinger.
There you go.
Yes, sir. Well, Dale, I've been having a lot of fun with our show tonight. Anything else you want to throw in here for our listeners out there before we say Vio Candil?
I just enjoy coming and chatting with you every Monday and Tuesday.
There's a lot of people that do, Dale. You're just one of many.
Really?
No, man.
You ought to charge for your service. I think it's kind of like therapy.
Therapy, huh?
Therapy.
Okay.
Therapy.
I could use a little therapy myself.
Therapy.
Yeah,
Okay.
therapy.
Okay. All right.
Well, on that happy therapeutic note, we want to thank you for being with us tonight. As always, we want to remind you that you can follow us on our Facebook page at the Brouhaha, or you can check out all the shows who are cataloged for you on our YouTube channel at the Brouhaha and listen to them on demand. But we're at the point of the game where it's time to say goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Del McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.